They say confidence is dangerous when it comes to travel. I learned this lesson the hard way on a sweltering afternoon in Manila, surrounded by jeepneys painted like carnival rides and the deafening symphony of urban chaos. One moment of kindness from a complete stranger would expose how little I actually knew about an entire continent. What followed wasn't just another stamp in my passport, it was a complete reconstruction of everything I believed about human nature. Years spent mastering Bangkok's rhythm had given me false certainty. The Thai capital's electric energy, where tuk-tuks weave between gleaming towers while saffron-robed monks navigate morning crowds, had become my template for Asian urban life. The Thai capital's electric energy, where tuk-tuks weave between gleaming towers while saffron-robed monks navigate morning crowds, had become my template for Asian urban life. Street vendors orchestrated culinary theater from cramped stalls, ancient temples stood defiant against glass monuments, and somehow the beautiful pandemonium made perfect sense. Bangkok was my graduate school in metropolitan Asian survival. Bali provided the counterpoint. 2 transformative years on Indonesia's mystical island stripped away Bangkok's urgency, replacing it with something infinitely more profound. Time flowed like honey through palm groves. Mornings began with sacred incense threading through humid air, yoga beneath emerald canopies, and spontaneous discoveries down serpentine jungle trails. Balinese wisdom enveloped me like silk, teaching patience, mindfulness, and the ancient art of synchronizing with nature's heartbeat. Those years felt like extended meditation, spiritual calibration for whatever adventure awaited. Boarding that Manila flight with Bangkok's electricity and Bali's zen coursing through my veins, I felt invincible. Megacity chaos? Conquered. Island serenity? Mastered. The Philippines seemed like the logical next chapter, another predictable variation on themes I'd already internalized. Arrogance, as it turns out, makes an excellent setup for life's most humbling lessons. The depth of research and hours spent uncovering these stories don't happen overnight. If you're finding value in these cultural explorations, hitting that subscribe button means the world to us and helps bring more of these transformative travel narratives to light. The moment Manila's humid air hit my face, I knew something was different. This wasn't just another Asian metropolis. Manila pulsed with an energy that defied categorization. The city seemed to breathe, its streets alive with a vibrancy that went beyond mere activity. Jeepneys rolled past like mobile art galleries, each one painted with explosive colors and intricate designs that told stories of their own. Karaoke melodies spilt from tiny shops, mixing with the calls of street vendors and the symphony of urban life. The air itself carried a unique cocktail of scents, sizzling barbecue, ocean breeze, tropical flowers, and that indefinable essence of a city that never sleeps. But Manila's sensory overload was just the opening act. What truly stopped me in my tracks was something far more profound, something I couldn't have anticipated from guidebooks or travel blogs. It was the people, and that elderly woman at the crossing was just the beginning. She appeared beside me as I stood paralyzed at one of Manila's notoriously chaotic intersections. Traffic flowed in patterns that seemed to defy physics, with vehicles of every description weaving through spaces that shouldn't exist. I must have looked as lost as I felt because this small, weathered woman simply took my arm. No introduction, no shared language, no hesitation. She guided me across that urban battlefield with the confidence of someone who had navigated these streets for decades. On the other side, she smiled, patted my shoulder, and disappeared back into the crowd. That moment became the key that unlocked everything I would experience in the Philippines. It wasn't just kindness, it was something deeper. An instinctive understanding that strangers are simply friends you haven't met yet, that helping others isn't a choice but a natural reflex, like breathing. My journey beyond Manila revealed this wasn't an isolated incident but a national characteristic. Island hopping through the Philippine archipelago became a masterclass in human connection. Every ferry ride brought new conversations, every small town offered unexpected invitations, and every meal became an opportunity to become part of someone's story. Lito found me wandering the docks of a remote fishing village, looking for accommodation that didn't exist. Instead of pointing me toward the nearest town, this weathered fisherman offered his own home. Not a guest house, Not a business transaction, but a genuine invitation into his family's daily life. In exchange for help mending fishing nets and painting his small boat, I gained something invaluable: insight into the rhythms of coastal Filipino life. Dawn departures into waters painted gold by sunrise, afternoons spent repairing equipment while sharing stories, evenings filled with simple food and complex laughter. Then there was Arnel, the tricycle driver in Palawan, who became my unexpected guide to paradise. What started as a simple ride to Puerto Princesa became a week-long adventure through hidden lagoons and secret beaches. Arnel didn't just drive me places, he adopted me into his world. His family's modest home became my base, their dinner table my social center. Through him, I discovered that Palawan's most stunning beauty wasn't in its famous underground river or pristine beaches, but in the generosity of its people. These connections multiplied exponentially as my journey continued. Mila, working double shifts at a local restaurant, shared her dream of opening a bakery. Not to become wealthy, but to ensure no one in her community went hungry. Her eyes lit up describing how she would give free bread to families struggling to make ends meet. Alona, barely 20 years old, worked 3 jobs to send her younger siblings to school. She spoke of their futures with such pride and determination that her own sacrifices seemed secondary to their possibilities. What struck me most powerfully was how these encounters transcended typical tourist experiences. These weren't service providers being friendly to customers. These were genuine human connections, formed with the same ease and warmth typically reserved for old friends or family members. Barriers that usually exist between locals and travelers simply didn't apply here. The deeper I ventured into the Philippines, the more I realized I wasn't just visiting another country, I was receiving an education in humanity itself. Each island revealed new lessons, each community offered fresh perspectives on resilience, generosity, and joy. Zamboanga provided perhaps the most powerful example. In this southern city, I witnessed something rare in today's world: true religious and cultural harmony. Muslims, Christians, and indigenous groups didn't just coexist, they celebrated together. During local festivals, I watched different communities contribute their unique traditions to shared celebrations. A Catholic procession would be joined by Muslim families, and indigenous dances would be performed at Christian gatherings. Religious differences became sources of cultural richness rather than division. In remote mountain villages, children would walk hours to reach schools that barely qualified as buildings. Cracked walls, leaking roofs, and insufficient supplies couldn't diminish their enthusiasm for learning. Their laughter echoed through valleys, their curiosity infectious. Teachers working for minimal wages spoke about education with missionary-like devotion, treating every lesson as a gift they were privileged to share. Perhaps most remarkably, I encountered this same spirit in communities that had every reason for despair. Coastal villages still bearing scars from Typhoon Yolanda showed me what true resilience looks like. Families had lost homes, livelihoods, sometimes loved ones, yet they rebuilt with determination that seemed to draw strength from their very suffering. Children played in the ruins of their former schools while new ones rose around them. Fishermen repaired boats with whatever materials they could find, heading back out to sea with unwavering hope. It was in one of these recovering communities that I heard the phrase that would forever change how I view adversity: sadness doesn't feed us, joy does. An elderly man, his house still partially destroyed, his fishing boat patched with scraps, spoke these words while preparing a feast for the entire village. His celebration wasn't about forgetting their struggles but about choosing hope over despair, community over isolation. This philosophy seemed woven into the Filipino spirit. Everywhere I traveled, from bustling city centers to remote island outposts, I encountered this same approach to life's challenges. Problems were acknowledged but not dwelled upon. Solutions were sought through collective effort. Joy was cultivated like a precious resource, shared freely because its value multiplied when distributed. The musical culture perfectly embodied this philosophy. Karaoke wasn't just entertainment, it was therapy, community building, and celebration rolled into one. In the smallest villages, someone always had a microphone and speaker system. Singing together became a way of processing emotions, sharing dreams, and creating bonds that transcended social barriers. Laughter became the soundtrack to resilience. As weeks turned into months, I realized the Philippines was systematically dismantling every assumption I had made about Asian culture, about travel, about human nature itself. My previous experiences in Bangkok and Bali, rich as they had been, were just opening chapters in a much larger story. Thailand has taught me about energy and adaptation. Indonesia has shown me peace and spiritual connection. But the Philippines was teaching me something even more fundamental, the true meaning of home. I had always associated home with familiar places, comfortable routines, and established relationships. Home was where you belonged because you had earned your place through time and effort. The Philippines challenged this entire concept. Here, belonging wasn't earned, it was offered. Home wasn't a place you had to prove yourself worthy of, it was a feeling extended freely to anyone willing to receive it. This realization hit me most powerfully during my final weeks in the country. I was staying with a family on a small island whose name most people wouldn't recognize. The father was a coconut farmer, the mother sold vegetables in the local market, and their 3 children attended the village school. By any conventional measure, they had little to spare. Their house was simple, their income modest, their possessions few. Yet they insisted I take their only comfortable bed while they slept on mats. They shared their meals with me for weeks without accepting payment. The children helped me practice Tagalog phrases, giggling at my pronunciation while patiently correcting my mistakes. The parents included me in every family decision, asked my opinions on matters ranging from crop rotation to their children's education. When it came time to leave, they wept as if I were their own son departing. This family, like countless others I had met, redefined generosity for me. They gave not from abundance but from love. They shared not what they could afford to spare but what they believed I needed. Their hospitality wasn't performed for appreciation or reciprocity. It flowed from a fundamental belief that caring for others was simply what humans do for each other. Flying away from the Philippines, I carried with me more than memories and photographs. I carried a transformed understanding of what it means to be human, what it means to be part of a community, and what it means to find home in the world. The lessons learned in those islands became the foundation for how I would approach every subsequent journey, every new relationship, every opportunity to extend kindness to strangers. Bangkok had shown me Asia's dynamic energy, the way tradition and modernity could coexist in creative tension. Those lessons served me well as I navigated other rapidly changing cities around the world. Bali had taught me the importance of slowing down, of finding peace amid chaos, of connecting with natural rhythms that modern life often obscures. These skills became essential as I sought balance in an increasingly hectic world. But the Philippines gave me something more precious than practical knowledge or cultural insights. It gave me a new definition of wealth that had nothing to do with material possessions and everything to do with human connections. It showed me that home isn't just where you're from, it's where you're welcomed. It demonstrated that family isn't just who shares your blood, it's who shares their lives with you. Years have passed since that transformative journey, and I've traveled to many other countries since then. Each destination has offered its own lessons, its own beauty, its own challenges. But none have matched the Philippines for sheer human warmth, for the ability to make a stranger feel like family within hours of meeting. When people ask me about my travels now, I describe Bangkok's exhilarating chaos and Bali's peaceful spirituality with enthusiasm. But when I talk about the Philippines, something changes in my voice. The stories become more personal, the memories more vivid, the impact more profound. Because the Philippines didn't just show me another culture, it showed me the best of human nature itself. The elderly woman who guided me across that Manila street, Lito with his generous offer of shelter, Arnel's spontaneous friendship, Mila's dreams of feeding others, Alona's sacrifices for her siblings, the man who chose joy over sadness, the family who made their home mine, they all became part of who I am today. They're examples of instinctive kindness, they're demonstrations of genuine hospitality, their embodiment of resilience and hope. These became the standards by which I measure my own actions. In a world that often seems divided by differences, the Philippines reminded me what we all share. Regardless of language, religion, economic status, or cultural background, we all need connection. We all crave belonging. We all benefit from kindness. We all thrive when we're welcomed, when we're included, when we're treated as family rather than strangers. The Philippines taught me that humanity isn't just about being human, it's about being humane. It's about recognizing that in a world full of temporary residents, we can all choose to be permanent sources of welcome. We can all decide to be the person who guides lost strangers across chaotic intersections, who opens our homes to travelers, who shares our meals with those who hunger not just for food but for connection. This is why I will always be grateful to the Philippines. Not just for the beautiful islands, the incredible food, the fascinating history, or the stunning landscapes. I'm grateful because those islands and the people who call them home taught me how to be more fully human. They showed me that the best travel experiences aren't about seeing new places, they're about discovering new ways to connect with the people who inhabit those places. As I continue to explore the world, I carry the Philippines with me everywhere I go. Not as a memory but as a methodology, not as a destination but as a disposition. The lessons learned in those islands have made every subsequent journey richer, every new encounter more meaningful, every opportunity for connection more precious. And perhaps that's the greatest gift any place can offer a traveler. Not just experiences to remember, but transformations that last a lifetime.